Recording in progress.
All right, gentlemen, welcome. Just jump off here. Welcome to
Howdy.
the Art of the Masculine. I want to say hi to everyone before we get going. All right, good to see some familiar faces here, also a couple of new ones. All right, cool. So some of you have done some work before with me. This is the first time that I've seen you on a Zoom like this. So either way, today we're going to be playing full out. Really, not only giving you guys some education, but activation and transformation. That's what we're in the game for here. More information isn't what most men need today. We need transformation. We need shifts. We need change. Would you guys agree with that? That you're not just here for some information or some education tonight, but you actually want a bit of a change and experience. Yeah. Cool. So what I'm here to share with you tonight, this is very different to some of the previous trainings that a lot of you guys have been on with me before. Who's here has been on any of my warrior trainings in the past? Cool. Yeah, got a few here. Very good. Now, we're still going to be bringing into the warrior tonight, along with some other archetypes. Who here is familiar with archetypes other than the warrior? Does anyone know what an archetype is? Cool. So we're going to be activating some of our masculine archetypes tonight. I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about the shadows and the light of archetypes and how you can work with these really as a pathway to integrate some of your shadows into light and a pathway for self-mastery. Who here would like to, enhance and improve their developmental journey and self-mastery within themselves? Who here wants to step more into that? Cool. All right. So you men are in the right place. Again, we're not just here for information tonight. We're here for activation and transformation. So we've passed the 5-minute mark. We've got, how many guys have we got on? 10, 11th, and one dropped off. So we've got 10 guys. Cool. All right, awesome. That will do us. All right, so as we go into tonight, I suggest, does everyone have a pen and a paper ready? All right, if you can get a pen and a paper, great, grab one. If not, your phone will be fine. You may need to take some notes as we're going through this. Okay. Also, if you can be in a place where you're not going to be interrupted, we're going to do some experiences tonight. So to actually give you a bit of a experience of shifting. We've still got guys joining, so we've got 12, 13 of us. This is pretty good turnout, gents, considering I just launched this thing on Monday. And I built the actual presentation out for it over the last 2 days. So really happy with what I got to share with you guys. This my whole intentions when I was bringing this is I have been an entrepreneur for all my adult life. I've always worked for myself since I was 21. I was a butcher before that, a concreter, but even when I was concreting, I was working as a self-employed man. So some of you may have been familiar with some of my self-made experiences, self-made courses and programs. That was essentially me being a self-made entrepreneur, teaching guys how to build self-belief, vision, and the identity to be able to align with their goals and vision. Just a show of hands, who has been through self-made, either self-made man, self-made warrior. Yeah, cool. Rise Up Warrior Challenge. Good to see you here, Neil. Good to see you here, Frankie. Guys, check out Frankie Spatara, also known as Bad C. He launched his career, or his work as a musician and an artist. And he launched his EP while he was going through the self-made course with me, titled Self-Made. I do a little bit of a feature there talking about why I started Self-Made, but that was him shifting the identity, the beliefs, and really getting clear on what he wanted and what he wanted to create in this world. And he's launched that. So strongly recommend checking out that, Bad C. Self-Made is the name of that EP. So a bit of a plug for you there, Frankie. Okay. So in my journeys, I've created things from my own experience. I've studied everything from human behavior, NLP, breathwork, a lot about spirituality, all different types of religions and things like that. Really putting the pieces together of human performance, and not just mind optimization, mind and body, but also on a soul level when it comes to our purpose. What are we here for? What brings men the most fulfillment? Because I'd noticed in my career as an entrepreneur, I would build things up, be successful, win, and then come to stages where I'd sabotage and burn it all to the ground. Who else has had experiences like that where they've been to... Okay, so it's not just me. All right, good to see you guys are in the same place. So this left me with a lot of soul searching, especially when I became a father. I didn't want to just be in the hustle and grind culture anymore. Now, I was taught, I was programmed very young that my father would always say, you've got a good heart and you're a hard worker. Good heart and a hard worker. Now, the more I learn about the unconscious mind and us being programmed, I realized that my dad was programming me, one, to come from my heart, to have a good heart, which is good. I'm a pretty moral and integral person. But secondly, was to always be a hard worker. So I left school at 15, and my first career, or my first main career, my apprenticeship, when I got into butchering at the age of 16, I was doing 6 hours per week as a 16-year-old. Now, it's fair to say that's a few hours to be working. Who here pulled some 60-hour weeks throughout their career? Yeah, I know I'm not alone there. Okay. But that was something that I brought into my entrepreneur life, and I would always be working hard, working big hours. When I became a father, that became a bit more of a challenge because I had new responsibilities. So this led me into really doing a whole rebirth of my identity, my values, and a restructuring of how I operate as a man. Now, these days, I'll work more like 3 to 4 hours most days, unless I'm building a presentation. I put a few hours behind the computer over today and yesterday. But I had to restructure how I performed, how I ran my business, all these sorts of things. And instead of coming from that push, that hustle, that grind culture, who's familiar with pushing hard, working hard to get ahead? Yeah. I knew of many men that were very successful and making a lot of money and a huge impact, working very few hours. Some of my favorite mentors, people that I've looked up to and learned from, were doing 2 to 3 hour days. So what I have come to believe, if it's possible for someone else, then it's possible for me too. Does everyone else have that belief? If someone else can do it, you can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the creation of what I'm going to share with you tonight, the heart of the masculine, I was originally launching and running Self-Made Kings. Were any of you involved with that when I put that out there last year? No, cool. I think Andrew, you were about to be. Anyway, so Self-Made King was what I was running, but as I was launching that and building out that program, I was coming to find that it wasn't in integrity with where I was at, as I wasn't living as a king. So this put me on an internal journey of really looking at my king archetype and what it took to be in integrity. If I was going to claim the self-made king and build leaders and raise men up to be in their king energy, I had to go first. And I had a bit of a rude awakening where I was definitely not living in my king energy on a very consistent basis at all. So as I sort of went into understanding my king archetype and the other archetypes that sit under that, which I'm going to delve into tonight, everything started leading me back to the fact that I was coming from a lot of force energy, a lot of ego, a lot of I need to prove my self-worth by doing these sorts of things, by building my business, by building all these things. It was very much about me proving that I was worthy. Now, who here has also had experiences where you've worked hard and hustled or did a certain career just to prove that you're worthy and that you were good enough, deserving of love? Yeah. I found this very
Yep.
common. I found this a problem that was unspoken about with men. And I found that this was no longer the way that I wanted to live my life. So I started to go into a place where I was raised religious. I'm not religious now, but I'm very spiritual and connected with my creator. But I was raised with the Bible and I learned a few good things out of that book. One of them was not my will, but your will be done. Who's heard that quote, that reference from scripture? Not my will, but your will be done. Yeah. So this is something that started to just, I was reminded again and again and again and again of this. So some of you have worked with me before and know that I'm really into David Hawkins' teachings, the Power versus Force, right? It was one book, Letting Go, the Pathway of Surrender, and all these sorts of things, where instead of needing to force and push and work hard all the time, you instead of like stressing and putting pressure on yourself, if you allow a higher intelligence or a higher version of yourself, the divine God, whatever it is, to work through you, you can come from a place of flow and alignment and produce bigger, better results with less effort. Does that concept make sense to you guys so far? Yeah. Has
Yep.
anyone had that experience where you've been in a state of flow where you're not really trying and shit's just working out for you? Who's had that experience? Yeah. Don hasn't. Don, we're gonna fucking get you there, bro. And your body and the pain in your body is a representation, and this is from knowing you, is a representation of why that model doesn't work. We can't keep pushing and forcing and grinding without expecting something to give. Okay, that'll be true in your body, as it'll be in your careers, as it'll also be the same in your relationship. Does that feel and resonate as true for you guys? Yeah. So a big part of what I found in the power versus force concept was one was like trying to force outcomes from your logic and your analytical mind. Now, who here's a man and very much in your head and using your brain and your mind and your like logic to solve everything, right? We're fucking guys. We've been trained and conditioned to come from here. We've also been taught to be completely fucking cut off and disconnected from our heart. And there's a reason behind that. Because if we're stuck in our head, we're not going to have the same level of empathy and care about what's happening within the world, within others, to our partners, to our kids, as if we're actually connected to our heart. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the heart tonight. And who here would say that they know that there's times where they're disconnected from their heart, where they're not coming from a heart-centered place? Yeah. Who here would like to know how to drop in and come into their heart and feel more connected to that party? Yeah, absolutely. Right. And that's why you're here today. That's why you resonate with the heart and the masculine. And that's what we're going to be working towards, is how to connect you to your heart and start to operate from power instead of trying to force all the time. Does that all make sense with everyone? Do you all feel like you're in the right room with what we're going to cover tonight? Okay. Now, there's going to be a few things I'm experimenting with. Again, when I started to put this together, I gave it back to God, gave it back to source. I said, literally, not my will, your will be done. Anytime I noticed that I was trying to put force on myself or hustle or push or stress myself into an outcome or having to work, I literally would stop. I'd walk away, leave my office, go hang out with my daughter, go for a walk, go do something else. I literally said, I'm doing things differently from this stage of my life. I'm no longer going to put this much pressure on myself to perform. Okay. And with that, let me bring it over to the start of our presentation. Okay. And when that comes up, you should see from pressure to presence. Okay. Difference is pressure is coming from your head. Presence is when you are connected in your heart. Okay. And with all the time I've been working with men, the amount of guys I've seen go through divorces and relationship breakdowns, or their missus isn't talking to them or wanting to suck their dick or be with them or anything like that, it's generally because they're stuck in their head, they're overworked, they're overstressed. They think that they're providing and pushing and putting food on the table. It should be enough to get the love of the woman, but that's not what she wants. She wants your presence. Okay. So as we go into this, I'm going to teach you guys tonight the 4 keys that every man must master to unlock embodied leadership, legacy, purpose, and fulfillment. Now, every man who's on here, whether you are aware of it or not, you are a leader. For you to be on this, to be attracted to this type of message and doing this type of work, you are a leader in some way, shape, or form. Does that resonate with you guys? Can you say, yeah, good, yeah. Whether you're leading your family, your business, your workplace, whatever it is. All right. So, is this for you right now? I'm going to go through this stuff pretty quick, okay? Just because I've got a lot to get through tonight, and I'm probably going to shorten this when I put it back out, because I looked at all those points and I'm like, yeah, they're all relevant, but I don't want to go through them all and spend 20 minutes on the introduction, okay? So if you can have a bit of a glance at that, maybe you've done the work, courses, coaches, mindset hacks, but you still feel you're not where you went to be. Who here feels like they've done some inner work, but you're not where you should be at this stage of your life? You feel like you should be further, right? Yeah. That's very constant with most people. Okay. It's very, very, very rare that I speak to someone who feels like they're there. And I've got some very well-established people in my network who are still chasing success. Okay. Multi-millionaires with properties, businesses, all this sort of stuff, still chasing success, still not feeling like they're enough, still not feeling like they've done enough, and often still coming from scarcity. Okay, which has been really strange for me to experience that with some really wealthy friends. They're still coming from that push, that hustle, that scarcity. I don't have enough. Okay. Who here relates that they carry the pressure to provide? Who's a provider? You've got a pressure. Yeah. And deep down, you're unsure if you'll ever truly reach the level of success that you dream of. Who's had that thought at this stage of your age, but in your life? Yeah, maybe I'm never going to get there. Okay. As you can see, you act like everything's good, but inside you feel stressed, stuck, and alone. There's more that can resonate there, but we don't need to go. Is that resonating with what you've picked up on that so far, guys? Yeah, perfect. All right. So this is for you if you know you were born for more and deep down you know you're not living your full potential. Who here knows without a doubt that they were here for more than what they're currently experiencing? Yeah. Okay. You're tired of chasing success at the cost of your peace, purpose, and presence. This is where I got to 2 years ago. It really started to land for me. And last year, I decided to go into the work and have a bit of a break from everything and really start to delve into my values and what was important to me at this stage of my life. You've tried strategy after strategy, but still feel disconnected from your partner. Who's looked at biohacks or different strategies to try and be successful and try and get ahead and found that for some reason it just doesn't work for you? Who's had that experience? Yeah, that was my experience too. You're ready to stop performing and finally start living from truth. Okay. You're willing to look within, even if it means facing what you've been avoiding. Now, I tend to attract what I am. Who here knows that they avoid things like their problems, their triggers? Who here's got a good avoidance strategy? Yeah. And mine was alcohol. Now, I don't drink at this stage of my life, but that was definitely the thing I'd go to. You want to lead your life, your family, and your mission with authenticity and integrity. You feel the call not just to succeed, but to embody the man you were born to be. This is not for you. Basically, if you're looking for a quick fix, okay, for all your problems to be solved in 1 hour, it's probably not going to happen. Okay. If you're looking for just motivation and hype, I'm here to do the deeper work. A lot of the work that's not necessarily being done with men in this space. So it's not for you if you're not willing to take some responsibility, look at your shadows and your patterns, how you're creating your own suffering and your own resistance to having what you want. Okay. Basically, I'm here to support the men who are ready to take ownership of their life, take responsibility so that they are empowered to create change. Okay. So if you're blaming others for your results and avoiding uncomfortable truths, this probably isn't going to be with you either, because we need to get clear with the truth and the facts of today if we actually want to create from a place of facts versus fantasy. And if you're not ready to be called forward into the man you were born to be, if you want to stay in your comfort zone, you're probably on the wrong training as well. Okay, this is the old versus the new model of masculinity and success for men. Over here, you may, like I did, resonate with living from everything on the left. We force results as we work and hustle hard to prove your self-worth and earn your success. Maybe you avoid or ignore your emotions and problems by suppressing, sedating, or distracting yourself. If you are a man alive today, there's a very good chance that you have been taught not to feel your emotions, to push them down, to suppress them, to shut your fucking mouth and get on with it. Who's familiar with that type of concept and that way of conditioning? Yeah, pretty regular in today's society. Build businesses and work long hours from a place of stress and pressure. Question: who here is in some form of business and you're working harder, but you're not necessarily getting the rewards or any more rewards than someone who's got a decent enough job? Who's in that position where you work hard, you build something, yeah, and you're still a slave? Okay, essentially, that was me as well. The old model is competing, control, and manipulate others to get what you want. Okay, getting stuck in your head, overthinking, prioritizing hack strategy and gurus for solutions rather than learning how to connect with your heart and your own inner guidance. It's not to say you can't have mentors. I've got amazing teachers and mentors in my life that I still work with to this day, but I also have learned to go within for the deeper stuff. Okay. This one here focuses on the ego. What can I get from others? Now, who knows that they come from a place of often looking at what you can get out of something, whether it's an exchange, a business venture, a relationship. What am I going to get? Yeah, it's where most of us are a lot of the time. Okay. And that is more of an ego, is focusing on what can I get rather than what can I give? How can I serve others? So this is the old model. As far as I'm concerned, this is outdated and doesn't produce the results that you've been told it would. Okay. I've worked with this model for the best part of almost 2 decades and producing okay results, but nothing long lasting. Okay. Shifting to the new model. So this is what I'm here to share with you tonight. So this is the new model of masculinity and success for men, where you enter a flow state as you align yourself in mind, body, and spirit in service to your highest calling. So before I work now, I no longer do time management as much as I do energy management. I clear my energy before I attack a task. Does that make sense, guys? Like I get myself into the right state. And this can just be slowing down and taking a couple of breaths and connecting with my intention when I'm about to get to work, instead of feeling like I've got some monkey on my back pressuring me in order to perform. Does that concept make sense? Does that resonate with you, where you feel like that monkey's on your back driving you? I can see you, Frankie, definitely, Dean there too. Yeah. All right. So processing your emotion stories and limiting beliefs that keep you stuck. Now, this one here, I found with men especially, when it came to feeling their emotions, the biggest thing that I was hearing again and again, which was a reflection of where I used to be at, was that I don't know how. I don't know how to feel my emotions. I don't know how to process it. When an emotion like anxiety or stress comes up, like I can feel that, but I don't know how to go into it. I don't know how to process it and move it through my body. I don't know how to bring certain emotions or triggers on purpose to work with that energy. Does that resonate? Struggling to actually connect with these parts of yourself and these energies? Yeah. Feeling is the secret. So part of what I'm teaching you, again, we can't think our way out of the problems. We can't solve the problems in our lives with the same level of thinking that created the problem. Okay. When we drop into the heart, that's where a lot of the wisdom is carried for you to actually make the progress and results that you desire. Okay, so new model is also created from a place of alignment and love with a regulated nervous system and open heart. Regulated nervous system is the huge thing here that I'm going to touch on a bit later in this experience today. Connecting, collaborating, lead others from a place of embodiment, integrity, and truth. Okay, where you are who you say you are. You're the same man talking to me as you are with your kids, with your wife. Like you are just who you are, your authentic self. And has faith in the vision, trust in the divine, surrender to the higher self and or creator, whatever it is to you. Whatever your spiritual beliefs are too, guys, I'm not here to impose anything on you guys. What I would suggest is there's an intelligence that's greater than you that may have created everything in existence that's put us here today. Does that concept at least resonate and make sense for most people, that we're probably not here by accident? Yeah, cool. All right. And focus on how I can serve others versus heart and soul. This is the heart and soul versus the mind and ego. And this is one of the hugest things. When we can focus on what we have to give and how we have to serve, and we make it about something greater than ourselves, it tends to take the pressure of needing to perform or get certain outcomes off our back. How nice would it be to just do things from a place of love rather than a need for any sort of outcome or validation? Yeah. Does that make sense? Like being able to just do it because you fucking love it? Yeah. Frankie, when you were doing your music, bro, did it come from heart or did it come from head? Just a question, because that's a creative thing.
Only heart, bro. Someone go, I write a song about this, Frankie. I'm like, it doesn't work like that, man.
No.
I listen back to my music and go, how the fuck did I write that, man? That's
Yeah.
that's the way, every song. That's the way it works.
Yeah. It's tapping into the field of infinite intelligence, using your gifts and allowing the divine to flow through you. That's
Yeah.
how I sort of put it.
Flow states, man. The best songs are written in 2 sessions, couple of hours a session.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're trying to force it, like you get writer's block and all that sort of thing, it's because people get stuck in the mind instead of like connecting back here. And it's really quite easy to connect with yourself and your heart once you get your reps up. Okay, like literally come to just like going for a walk, taking a breath, patting your cat, your dog, whatever it is. Like those things can bring you into your body. Okay, so it's not that hard to get from your head to your heart, and it gets easier the more we practice it, the more reps we get of it. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, cool. All right, so new model, we're going to be focusing on the new model tonight. Okay, 3 stages of this activation to experience lasting transformation. Who here has been to an event or done a course or done some work, had a bit of growth, a bit of change, and then reverted back? Who's had that experience? Yeah, you, me, and everyone else. The reason is you didn't stay with it long enough to integrate it. So a lot of the time, we live in an age where we've got access to so much information, so we've got a lot of awareness around certain things, right? Now with ChatGPT, you can like basically use it to diagnose whatever's going on with you. You can be like, this is what I'm experiencing, this is my background, blah, blah, blah. And it would give you more awareness around what you're dealing with. Okay. Now, again, awareness is only the first step. Most people don't really move from awareness. They get great ideas. Like there's people that have a lot of knowledge and information, but for me, I'm always looking at where's your fruit. Okay. Because your words don't mean shit to me if I don't see it in your life. Where's your results? Where's the transformation? That's what I'm going to be looking at. How are you living? Right? Because everyone can talk a big game. We've got a lot of intellectual, educated people, especially with all the access we've got in today's age of how easy it is to get information. So what we want to do is move from awareness into activation. So again, for me, knowledge without action is basically useless. Right? It's going to go in one ear, coming out the other. It's not until we actually implement with the awareness and the information that we create change. So we're going to focus on activating tonight. And then integration. This is what you do after you've had the change. Okay. So I was doing a lot of plant medicine and things like that for a while. And what I was noticing is the same people were coming back to the ceremony without any real changes taking place in their life. Because they'd go, they'd get high, they'd get the insights, they'd clear their traumas and like get all these downloads from their ancestors, their grandmother, great spirit, fucking demons, whatever they were interacting with, right? But things wouldn't shift in their life because they would go back to doing the same things that they were doing beforehand and wondering why things weren't changing. Because what they were doing is they'd have the activation, the experience, but they were relying on something outside of them to create change. Okay. Lasting transformation requires your action and repetition. If you've been living a certain way your whole life, and then you have a bit of a change, you've changed your perspective, you've changed a bit of your identity and your beliefs, but you do not be consistent with embodying that new identity, those new actions, those new behaviors, you will revert back to what was comfortable and what was safe before you had the experience. Does that make sense? Okay. This is why you can have like a life transforming experience, but find like a month, 2 months, a year later, you can even go backwards if you do not integrate the experience to create change. Okay. So everything I share with you, great to get the information, great to have the activation. I strongly suggest afterwards you look at how you can integrate what I'm sharing with you tonight. Does that make sense? Any questions around that, guys? Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right. So this is the areas that I'm going to cover with you today. First, I'm going to teach you why the old model of masculinity is destroying men and how to awaken true power without burning out or selling your soul. Next, I'm going to go into the real reason that you self-sabotage and how you can stay aligned, disciplined, and lead with presence every single day. And then I'm going to teach you about the 4 archetypes that every man must master to build his legacy. Okay, so this is the parts of your psyche that you need to be able to, your identity and the patterns that are running the show underneath the surface. I'm going to delve into those, show you how to actually work with those parts of yourself in order to really step into your leadership and build a legacy and fulfill your purpose. So to begin with, awakening your power. So awakening your power really starts with taking ownership of where you are and how you got there. Okay, so this is the first thing that I do. Every time that I'm looking to level up, to create change, I will stop and I will do a self-assessment. Once and only once you take responsibility for where you are now, this means that it doesn't matter if you've had the business partner fuck you over, the wife leave you and take off with your mate, whatever it is, you're always looking at how am I the cause of this. Okay. For me, nothing ever happens to me. Nothing ever happens to me. I'm always co-creating. There's always something within me, either energetically, a belief, an action, and behavior that co-creates my experience. So if I'm experiencing suffering with someone in my life or something in my life, whether it's at the gym, my body, whether it's in my business, whether it's in my relationship with my partner, relationship with my kid, relationships or lack of relationships with friends, if I'm experiencing challenges in those areas, I don't look at them. I look at how am I co-creating this? What I guess is underneath the surface. And this is where I've learned to really look within and do a lot of integration of previous parts of myself, previous parts of my identity, going to the past to basically heal and transform the patterns that I show up with today. Because most of your problems and experiences that you have today have very little to do with what's actually happening today and everything to do with what happened 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 30, 40 years ago. You've got imprints that are playing out in where you're at today. Does that concept make sense to you guys? Yeah. That's why trying to work out what's wrong with now. This is why for me in my business, the amount of people that I've invested tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars, well over 6 figures into different coaches, mentors, strategies that cost me more than what they returned me in terms of business strategies. Not to say things haven't worked, but there's a lot of time where I was looking at the external, what strategy do I need in order to get me this result, instead of who do I need to become, what parts of me are resistant to what it is that I want in my life, and how do I need to go into that, process it, and transform it. Does that concept make sense to you guys? If you were to take nothing else away from this workshop, but other than whatever it is that you want to deal with, you want to find how you are the root cause and what part of your psyche what part of your journey as a human is creating what you're experiencing that you want to change today. Okay, like literally, that would be awakening your true power. Because only when you take responsibility and go, if it's meant to be, it's up for me. How am I creating this? When you're in that place and you're not blaming anything outside of yourself, but looking within, this is where you start to activate your power. Because when you point the finger at anyone or anything else, you're giving your power away. That's what you're actually doing. Does that make sense? Okay. So any change, I cannot do anything to change your life. I can take you through this. I can give you activations, education, transformation, but you need to show up. You need to apply it. You need to be playing full out in order to get the change that you want. Does that make sense? Okay. No one's coming to fucking save you ever. You're here to save yourself. And again, not to say that people, teachers, mentors, things can't come into your life to support you. I know that when I set an intention and I put a prayer out there, things seem to come into my life. So it's not like I have to figure it all out on my own, but I need to be the one that sets the intention, takes responsibility for it, and is aware of when things are coming into my life that are helping me move towards what it is that I say that I want. Okay. So this one here is something to really take to heart is I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Okay. You are the creator. You are one with the creator. If you go into any religions, it's like as above, so below. We are made in the image of the creator. So you have the same power to create as what created you. Okay. So yeah, just taking into that. As we're getting into this, the old model of masculinity is failing men. So you've got a lot of really masculine looking guys teaching you to work hard, push hard. You listen to like Andrew Tate, right? Like he's the masculinity for the younger guys at the moment. But he says all he ever does is work, right? He's like, when I'm at the gym, I'm working. When I'm driving to an appointment, I'm working. Like everything is always work for him. So he's like overemphasizing that you should always work. And he's also telling young men that men should never be happy. Men don't deserve to be happy. That's not part of your life experience to be happy. Like, I love being happy. Who here actually fucking loves being happy? Yeah. Who here would love to be happy more often? Yeah. Who here believes that happy and joy might be a high vibrational state? And if you're in that space more often, you might actually fucking have a better experience of life. Yeah. Because like attracts like. You attract what you are. Right. And you got dickheads like this fuckwit telling everyone out that you shouldn't be happy if you're a man, that you should work hard and struggle and sacrifice. And I love working, but I love to work when I love to work. I love to play when I love to play. I love balance. I'm a Libran, right? Work hard, play hard. That's always been my thing. Now it's work smart and work when I'm in alignment and like do things that are more in alignment for me. And this is what I've really been teaching people is how do you get clear on what is in alignment with you? What are your values? What is it that you love from life? And if you can like really get clear on what it is you love and create your life around that, things start to work better for you. Okay. But the old model that you're being sold by guys like him and even David Goggins and all these like strong influencers, a lot of them too, if you like look at a lot of the guys that I look up to that are pushing like the work, the struggle, the grind, the hustle, they're on TRT as well. So these guys are enhanced, taking hormones to give them more energy, more strength, more assertive nature, more testosterone. And they're telling everyone else that that's how you have to be in order to have what you have in life. And I'm not against any of those things, but just like look at a lot of these guys and look at whether you're in line with what they're doing to produce and perform the way they are. And if you've had the same background and makeup as what these guys are, or if you're trying to force yourself on it to be someone you're not, in terms of like push, hustle, grind. Who here has lived that where you pushed, hustle, grind over and over again, and at some stage it's cost you where you become burnout, injured, or just really unmotivated? Yeah. Okay. That's sort of what we look at. For me, I go through burnout and then addiction. If I'm working like 60, 70 hours, I'm going to drink for like 3 days straight when I get to the weekend. That's what I was finding. It had that payoff. Emotional shutdown because you're stuck in your head, you're pushing, you don't have like your nervous system's all fried and things like that. So it's hard to relax, okay, without having a drink or a smoke, whatever it is for you. Disconnection from family, taught to suppress, perform, and strive. Okay. Who here has felt the pressure as a man to perform, strive, and suppress whatever feels uncomfortable? Yeah. And it's pretty common. Yeah. Again, not to feel or lead with soul. Pressure become your identity, but your heart holds your destiny. Okay, so pressure becomes your identity where you feel like you need to work and push and push and push in order to be worthy of love, success, and to validate your existence as a man. Yeah. Which again is a lot of the toxic masculinity shit that is being taught. Okay. That your only value is what you can provide as a man. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's women out there that would definitely agree with that as well, but they're not the type of women that I've ever been attracted to. Okay. All right. So activate the warrior. Way to activate this is really simple. You do what I call a self-assessment. Okay. I'm going to get you guys to do this real quick, just so we can do some action. Nice little one, get you out of just sitting there listening to me talk for a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is I want you to write down on your paper or in your phone, and I'm going to get you to do. I'm going to do one for fitness, family, finances, and faith, aka body, balance, business, and being. So for body, I'll write this on here for you. For the body, you're going to have fitness and fuel, and give yourself a rating out of 10 for where you consider yourself right now. 10 being that you are killing it. You're the fittest, rippedest, strongest, best you've ever been. Your fuel, you're eating the most highest nutrient dense whole foods that you could ever eat, and you're performing like an absolute beast. That would be 10. One is you're on deathbed, you've got cancer or some disease that's really taking you out right now. You eat like shit all the time. Just give yourself a rating on your body. All right, then we're going to do balance. So balance, we're going to go relationship. All right, so intimate relationships. Where do you rate yourself on intimate relationships? And then with your family / friends. Yeah. Again, out of 10. 10 out of 10, you're married to the woman of your dreams. You're fucking more than you can handle. Yeah, you're in the best situation you could ever possibly be. You feel very grateful and blessed every single day of your life. That's a 10. Family and friends is you've got good connections with people that are close to you that you spend time with and you do activities with. That would be a 10. All right, next we're going to go into our business. So this is the game of money. So basically what we're going to look at is profit or finances and purpose. Okay. So in your business right now, are you making the good monies? Are you in a good position with your finances? 10 out of 10 is you're not thinking about money at all. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, however you want right now. 10 out of 10. One is you have no monies, you cannot put food on the table, anything like that. And your purpose is going to be like, do you love what you get to do every day for work? Whatever it is, whatever you're doing to add value to other people's lives and getting paid for doing that. 10 out of 10 is you wouldn't do anything else, even if you're paid more money. 1 out of 10 is you're literally just going through Groundhog Day to pay the bills, or you're not even working, whatever it is for you. All right. And then we're going to go into being. So this is your connection to self and connection to spirit. Right? How in tune are you with yourself right now? Okay. Again, this one's not so much tangible. You could be like, oh, well, I do breath work, meditate, I journal all the time, I'm reading things. So that can be part of it. That is part of your being. But like if you ask yourself, generally the first number that comes when you ask yourself, what number would I give this, is the right one. So being, connection to self, 10 out of 10. You know yourself so fucking well. You are so connected, happy, aligned. If you're a 10 out of 10 in your being, you're probably not going to be here because you literally got every answer within. Okay. And then create a connection to whether it's a creator, God, universe, higher self, infinite intelligence, Mother Gaia, Earth, spirit guides, whatever the fuck it is that you believe in and connect to in your spiritual path. Connection to something greater than yourself, outside of yourself. Where would you rate that out of 10? All right. And now what you're going to do is you're going to add those numbers together. And I want you guys to put in the chat box where you're currently at in your body, your balance, your business, and your being. So you can just put them together. 5 minutes ago, this is what Don wrote. He's like, if you're not pushing hard, then you are lazy, right? And just jump off your mic for a second, Don. How's that working out for you?
It's I guess it's always one of those things that perception is reality. So if you're sitting around and you're taking it easy, then
Yeah.
people see you as lazy. So you've got to constantly push, 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 because that way you can be perceived um, as getting in there and I guess giving it everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's your perception, right? So that's your reality. So for you to sit down and take it easy and maybe give yourself the rest that you need every now and then, you'd start to put yourself down for that and feel guilty. Is that true?
yeah, that you're dropping the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how's that working out for you in every area of your life? Is it working in your body?
No,
Okay. Is it?
because you definitely don't get the results by sitting down doing nothing.
No.
So,
And again, like there's a time in a season where, yeah, you push and you go at it. But again, life comes in seasons, right? I think I was telling you about this actually last time I spoke to you. 4 seasons of life. It's not on this presentation, but basically we have producing, right? We have strengthening. We have optimizing. And we have healing. Now, most of us men stay in producing, try and strengthen, and we go back and forth between these until we find ourselves in healing, not by choice, but in from burnout or breaking something breaks. Okay. So if we can honor these seasons, like I check in with my energy when I'm not, like when I need a nap these days, like I fucking take a nap. When I need a day off the gym, I go for a walk, I take a day off the gym. I don't put that pressure on myself anymore because I did it for so many years and it just didn't get me the results. And now it's diminishing returns. Okay. All right. So on average, what was your score for body? So with the two of them, like just for body, if you added those two up and divided it by 2, put that in the chat. Body. There we go. Like what Don did there. So body 4, balance 5, business 8, being 4. Cool. Yeah. So if everyone can do what Don's done there, that would be great. Then we can move on to the next piece. All right. So we got another one, body 3, balance 3, business 2, being 5. Cool. Body 5, balance 5, 8.5, business 8, being 8. Good. Yeah. So with that one, your body is like the main focus now. Keep doing what you're doing, optimize with the others, but the body 5, you want to bring that number up. Dan's got body 9, balance 5, business 3, being 7. Yeah, cool. So these sort of give you your areas where you want to do your improvement. Body 5, balance 5, business 8, being 6. Yeah. Frankie, body 6, balance 9, business 6, being 5. Now, the way that I work with these as well can be different depending on your values, but I basically work on them in that order. Because what I have found is if my health, if I feel like it, if I'm tired, if I'm stressed, right, I don't tend to show up as good in my relationship or my business, right, or my being. So my number one focus is always to optimize my health and my energy. Okay. I do all of these every day now, but like health and energy. And then I used to use my business as my other addiction. If I was unhappy in my relationship, I would go harder with work. That no longer works for me. That for some reason just stopped working, basically once I had a kid. So now I need to prioritize my body. I make sure that my relationship, if I've got triggers and stuff, I'll work on my balance before I get to work in my business. Okay. My being, again, serves all that sort of thing. But it's kind of like I bring my body up, my balance goes up with it, my business goes up with it, my being goes up with it. Okay, so just a way that I sort of work this function. I'll show you guys what I now use actually to score this, because basically with this, you can simplify your life where you've got those 4 areas that you focus on: body, balance, business, and being. That's how you activate your power every single day, by prioritizing those and optimizing, strengthening, producing in those areas, and also knowing when you need to heal a certain area as well. Okay, so if you've got injuries and you want to get a PB on your bench press or go for a big run, but you've got injuries, well then honor that stage, go into the healing and work on the repairing of your body before you try and produce and perform. Okay, otherwise, Don Blackley, you will go backwards and end up fucked up needing surgeries. Okay, which you've learned, right? So again, and that's because his mentality is he's been lazy if he's not fucking working and pushing hard, right? And because that's the belief system, he'll actually attract people in his life that reflect that belief back to him. Is that true by any chance, Don? Yeah, right. So again, your beliefs create your reality. So if he's got that belief, he's going to have people reflect that and mirror that back to him. Okay. So real quick, I'll just show you guys how I do this. This is the warrior that we're working with at the moment. I'm just going to share this with you. Each day, like I gave you those 2 sections, I go into here and track. That's for my being. That's for my body, is my fitness. Fitness and fuel is body. Meditation and memoirs, which is journaling, is the being. Person 1, person 2, I express appreciation for my partner and I spend time with my kid each day. And then I've got discover, so that's for working on my business, learning something, and then declaring and taking action. Okay, so you can start to gamify your life. This is a system that I work with my clients with this software, but you can like literally just take this and do the same sort of thing. Give yourself a point system. Did I do my nutrition today? Did I do my fitness, my body, my movement? This way you can start to gamify progress instead of it coming from pressure. It's coming from presence and intention. Okay, like is focusing on 4 things per day. Does that sound pretty simple to you guys? Yeah. Who here knows that they're overcomplicating the fuck out of a few areas of their life trying to get everything done? Yeah. Yeah. Simple systems, okay, to go from performance into a place of being present. You just know your targets. Now, what I do with these 2 guys is I go into what's called a fact and a freedom map. So my self-assessment is I go deep into the facts of these areas, where I'm at in my fitness. So how many times I'm training, what sort of weight I'm doing, what I'm working on in my Muay Thai, how my body's feeling, how many injuries I've got, all that sort of thing. And I get my facts of where I'm at today, and then I build my freedom of where I want to go in the future. Okay, so this is sort of like giving you self-direction, working with that warrior, which is one of the masculine archetypes. Okay, but this isn't a warrior workshop, so I'm not going to go too much into that today. I'm going to bring you back into the stuff where we get into the heart. Let me bring this one back up. Okay, that should be back on. Cool. So activating power of the warrior, that's where you get clarity, direction, and this is how you can start to build confidence within yourself. This is building the identity, okay, through basically moving forward in the areas of your life that you want to go. Like I said, I've got fact and freedom maps. So freedom map is where I want to be. It's your vision, okay. Gamifying progress, keeping it simple to track. Okay, that's what I've learned. That's the system out of all the systems and productivity hacks and all that that I've invested in and tried over the years. This is the most simple system that I use now in my day-to-day to make sure that I'm firing on all the cylinders in my health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right. Now we're going to get into the next piece where we're talking about presence. So again, there's a way to turn your pain into power, your problems into progress, and your stress, overwhelm, and anxiety into focus, clarity, and presence. Is that something you guys would like to learn, how to turn stress, overwhelm, and anxiety into focus, clarity, and presence, by any chance? Yeah. Who here deals with stress, anxiety, overwhelm, all those things more often than they'd like to? Yeah, because you're a man and you're stuck in your head. Okay. So I'm going to teach you about leading to presence in this lesson. Okay. So basically, leading with presence means you're not stuck in your head, but present and connected to your heart. So 70% of entrepreneurs, business owners, producers, leaders get into business to experience more freedom in their life and find themselves more stressed and overworked than they were when they're in their job. Who here is in working for themselves and got there to have more freedom in your life? Anyone? Who here has worked harder as a business owner and an entrepreneur than most people do in their jobs? Okay. It's pretty fucking common. Okay. And again, that's because you've been sold the grind. Just like I was talking to Don before about the pressure that he puts on himself. He believes that he's not doing something, that he's lazy. We've unconsciously adopted the collective belief that we need to grind, push, and hustle in order to have what we want. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably know some people who are really hard workers that are living week to week right now. Who knows guys like that? Yeah. Who's been a fucking guy like that? Okay. So that tells me that hard work is not the solution or the answer to success, performance, and prosperity. Okay. It's what you're being sold, though, by all the gurus and people that want to sell you that concept and idea. That's why it's so big. That's why it's so huge. You'll see all these people, you just got to push, you got to push, you got to push, you got to push, because that's what they were taught. And it works for some, but not for everyone. Okay. I was one of the ones that it would work for a period of time until it didn't work. I'd go through feast and famine all the time. So I wanted to work a system, a way to live that provided consistency over time. Okay. What you'll find is you've been programmed in a way and educated to work hard, sacrifice, struggle, and keep quiet. So your job is to make the money, pay the bills, provide, and shut the fuck up. Get on with it. Okay. You're not allowed to have problems. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yeah. Okay. That's essentially a lot of the stress that's been put on the man. So this leads to us sedating, suppressing, or avoiding our inner chaos with distractions and addiction. Who can relate to that? Well, fuck this shit. If I can't be seen, heard, understood, if it's not okay for me to have these feelings, I'm going to drink them, snort them, fuck them away. Got to get rid of them somehow. Does that make sense and resonate with a few of you guys? Yeah. Short-term solutions, mate. So we're going to look at how do we actually find some healthier ways. All right. So the real reason that you self-sabotage and how to stay aligned, reason one is emotional suppression creates internal chaos. So if you're not allowing yourself to feel your feels and process your emotions, it's going to actually build up over time and block you from. I like to look at it this way, right? Who here has set goals before that they haven't been able to succeed with, whether it's financial, yeah. So I'm going to give you a little diagram here. Right. Here's you. Here's your big goal. So put money and whatever else you love, right? So money, career, whatever it is. Now, what stands in between where you are now and where you want to be? Okay. Who here's heard like you just need a vision board and attract what you are and all that sort of stuff, believe it, you'll achieve it. All that stuff is true. But a lot of what's missing in the law of attraction teachings and manifestation is you actually have to be aligned for this to naturally come to you. Okay. So what that means, and this is where I was taught to face my emotions, my traumas, my limiting beliefs and all this sort of stuff, and actually get to the root cause of it. Because I would set these massive goals, I would start to move towards it, and then something would happen, it would throw me on track, and I'd start to go backwards again. Okay. So it was never a straight path. Everyone who's been in some form of business entrepreneurship has probably seen like this model, right? To success. Okay. Now, who would like to know how to fast track it to go from here to here without having to go through too many of these big downward spirals? Who would like to learn that? Cool. So what you need to learn is what it is that stands in between where you are today and where your big goals are. So this is the money that you want, the career, the house, the cars, all that sort of physical stuff. But it's also the relationship that you want, the love that you want, the connection that you want. It's the health that you want. And what stands in between where you are now and where you want to be is essentially your past imprints and programs which is AKA unprocessed emotions. And the beliefs. Okay. So the thing with your beliefs is your beliefs are in fact decisions. Does that concept make sense to you? If I have a belief, it's actually a decision. It's something I've decided to be true, whether conscious or unconscious. Now, the thing is a lot of people will try and mindset their way to override their limiting beliefs and their unconscious patterning. So who here's tried like affirmations or hypnosis and things like that to a degree, where you like listen to positive statements? These things can work, okay, to a degree, but if until we actually get to the root cause of that belief, where it stems from, the emotion, you're going to find that you have diminishing returns. You'll make a certain amount of progress, but you'll keep finding that you go down here until you actually get to, I call it the original sin. The first time that you were made to feel a certain emotion where you made the belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't have what I want, I don't fit in, I don't belong, I need to be perfect. Who's got some of those beliefs? Yeah. Biggest pain for most men is usually around one of these two things. Love, they keep getting hurt in relationships. Or money. Doesn't matter how much money they make, they keep coming backwards. Who can relate to one of those being a pain point in your life? Yeah. You, me, and most men on the planet. So if you want to change those experiences, do you think it'd be a really good idea to work out, what the fuck do I believe? And how do I feel? Now, the thing is, for most men, we can figure out what we can believe because it's a logical, analytical, right? So if, let's say you wanted to be a billionaire, right? But what stands between where you are now and being a billionaire is you believe that you would need to be smarter. You would need to, it would need to take you 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Okay. You'd need to have a different skill set. You would need to have grown up in a wealthy family. Those can be some of your beliefs. Okay. Now, it can be really a lot easier for us to identify the beliefs. And this is what I spent most of my career as a mindset coach throughout my 20s and even into my early 30s, was working with beliefs more than anything else. And we got some good results, didn't we, Frankie? And Don, you got some good transformations and shifts. Who else is on here that I worked with in the past? Yeah. Neil, you got some pretty rapid results too. You actually had some really good breakthroughs with your money back then too, right? But did you notice how you got all that success and you weren't able to hold on to it? Yeah, all of it disappeared. And do you mind telling us just a little bit about that real quick, Neil, if you're open to sharing it? Because you had you went from zero to hero. You had like nothing, then you had like what, 50 grand or something like that you had in your bank account within a short period of time. Yeah, you tell me. Can't hear. And then I'm going to talk about the reason that you sabotaged and got rid of it all. All right, still can't hear, bro. Can't hear. All good. Can't hear. No, not coming through. All right. Maybe you can put in the chat box how much you made in how much time. But anyway, so struggling financially within a short period of time, I believe you had like 50 grand. It could have been 100 or something like that. Bought a house, all these things. And then again, in another short period of time, about a year later, fucking lost it all, including the house, everything, right? Back to square one. Now, we worked on the belief and the identity, but Neil, we hadn't got to the original traumas in the body and the emotions and processed and moved that out of your nervous system. Okay. So that's what's running. That's the 95%. We worked with beliefs. We worked with some of the emotion because we changed your identity, your attitude, your beliefs, your behaviors, but we didn't get to the root cause. And I wasn't doing this work back then, man. This is like what, 6 years ago, five years ago, right? 2020, 5 years ago. Yeah. I wasn't doing the work with the emotions that I do now. So again, we need to go to the original imprint, which is the emotion. So if you've got a problem with your money, your career, your business, your success, for me, I had to look at all the ways that I'd failed over the years. Now I've had a lot of success and I've had a lot of failures as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And I've also had certain imprints that were given to me when my father was, well, I was like 7 years of age, and he lost his first business, the hardware store, lost a house, we're facing bankruptcy. That was an imprint for me that I relived. I relived that exact same experience at 25 years of age. Started business, put everything into it. I ended up losing my house. I was facing bankruptcy. I came out of it with 100 grand worth of debt, no assets, had my car repossessed, all those sorts of things. But I basically relived the imprint that my father gave me from when I was 7 years of age. Right. So I had to go back and look at all the imprints of where my beliefs around money, success, failure took place. Because I would do this, I would build and then I would sabotage. Like I would have in my coaching business, I would make 30, 40K months consistently. And then all of a sudden, flatline and stop doing whatever was working and make like barely getting by sort of thing for a few months at a time. Okay. And I was like, okay, this is a pattern. I started to look back, like I just look at my balance sheets over the years. I'm like, this is patterns. And it was even a particular time of the year where I would tank financially. So I started to work out, well, what emotions do I have around this? Fear was one. Shame was one. Okay. Frustration and anger. But what was underneath the frustration and anger when I processed that was actually hurt and sadness and loss. So these are the emotions, okay, that I needed to process so that I'd get out of my head and stop living in frustration, fear, overwhelm, and stress. I got to what was underneath those emotions, underneath those feelings, into the emotions, and got to the root cause to process and clear them out of my unconscious mind and nervous system. This is how I'm able to stay connected to my heart now, because I don't have a bunch of, actually, I've still got stuff to work through, guys. Okay, I've still got stuff to work through. And I do my work on that when I'm triggered, when a painful experience, when a fear or a doubt comes up. Okay? If I'm working on something in business and I start to come from a place of scarcity or worried about the numbers or what I can get out of it, I go into that and I realize that there's actually a program, an imprint from a younger version of myself that's worried about losing something, loss, fear. Okay. So I'm giving you that one because I speak with a lot of men who are not where they want to be financially or in their career. Is anyone here not where they want to be financially or in your career right now? Okay. This is the work for you. Okay. In terms of your money. It's also the same work in love, but you're probably dealing more with trust or betrayal or fear of being alone. Certain things, like it's different, same emotions, different type of association based on your imprints and your past experiences. And a lot of the time those imprints come from the relationship your parents had or those that were in your immediate circle. Okay. Is this making sense for you guys? Like, are you getting some value out of that sort of stuff? Yeah. I'm just going to, before I move on to this one, oh yeah, I might go into this. I just want to bring you guys on for a second because I know I'm teaching different concepts than I have before. Just want to check the resonance. Like, is this information at this stage being useful to you? Are you getting some value out of it? Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me at this stage? Anything they'd like to ask, in particularly about anything that I've covered up until now? Cool. Does anybody have a trigger or an emotion right now in their body that feels uncomfortable, that they would like to have an experience of how to actually release that?
I'd love to add to this. Is that all right, Dave?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Yeah. I wrote it in the chat, but I did a 6-day course about exploring the base chakra, which is where we suppress everything, where we bury our deepest traumas. And one of the best workshops I've ever done in my life was to uncover that first time you ever felt so traumatized, but no one held you, and you just had to hold that pain in yourself. And I started uncovering it, and then it took another 3 years before I got it. And it is really powerful work. And you're right. Like there's a sense in me that I'm not worthy of a massive amounts of success because I've been a bad kid, and I took on all my dad's anger and frustration from his childhood. And I know that that the key to me being more successful is to really dig into that. So I just want to say that what you're saying is resonating really deeply, man. And it's I appreciate what you're saying, and I look forward to learning what kinds of strategies I can use to get that sense of, not feeling worthy enough to be in the upper echelon when like, whether it's at a festival or in a business meeting or whatever, or politics. I've run for politics 4 times and never felt like I was taking that seriously. It's like, yeah, I can see the power in this work. That's all I'm going to say.
Do you have a emotion or energy feeling stuck in your body around that at the moment that you want to work with? Like thing that drop down. So if you could check, like we often go up there, how am I feeling? If you actually want to check, I want to know if there's something in your body. Just ask your body, is there any energy stuck here? Look down. Down, motherfucker. Yeah.
No, I want to just keep listening and being more present and learning. That's I mean, I kind of want to cry, right? But it's because I feel like I'm not doing enough to save the planet, but it's such a big fucking job, Um, but that's a feeling in me, is the deep sadness of
Yeah.
not being effective enough.
Okay, so that's a feeling.
Sadness.
Um,
And frustration and anger, like,
yeah.
fuck, that's mine.
I'm just going to ask you guys, because I've got an experience I could take you through, but I'm aware of the time. Do you guys, Neil, did you put something in the chat box, or can you talk? All right, hang on. Just let me read Neil's thing real quick. I have tension in my jaw. Okay. I would need to be able to speak to you to do this. Oh, not really. Like I could do it with the group, but you can all do. Does everyone want to have an experience of how to actually process your emotion and move it out of the body? We're not using breath work or anything like that. We can look at that later. Does everyone want to have that experience tonight where you can clear and release an emotion? Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. I'm going to need a live participant. So I might work with you, Dean. I'm just going to see if anyone else is like pressing, where they're like, oh, I can locate right now. I've got this thing in my shoulder, in my kidney, my liver, like my head, in my jaw. Like you'll be able to work with yours, Neil, but I want to be able to talk with someone as well. Okay. You'll still be able to do the process. Does anyone have anything that they can feel like, yeah, I've got some stuck energy in my body right now? Anyone at all?
I got a bit of anxiety in the stomach, man.
Perfect. All right.
Thinking about blocks of receiving money. I've been trading like consistently last few weeks. Do really good, man, and then fuck it at the end of the week.
All right.
Consistently.
Yeah, cool. So you will continue to do that until we move this energy, hands down. I know that experience too well, man. Like, fuck, it's ridiculous. I was having this experience where I was doing like, for me, like when I make 30, 40 grand in a month, right? That's pretty good money for someone who doesn't have a lot of overheads. And when I'm doing that consistently, like you should be getting very far ahead very quick. I went through seasons where I was doing that. And then like not long after, it was like, fuck, I got to pay rent or my registration's due like within months of that. I'm like, what the fuck? I do not have an earning problem. Like, how the fuck did I like go from where did that money go? I didn't just blow it on a bunch of shit. But again, unconsciously, you'll find a way to get back to what your nervous system deems as familiar and safe. Okay. So even if you have the big wins and the stock market goes up, if we don't deal with this, you'll find some way to get rid of the money. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
very quickly.
it's happened to you as well. Okay. So everyone, we're going to be able to go into this experience. Just Don saying he's nervous about the tension, which will come up in the next couple of weeks when my wife returns from living overseas for the last 12 months and we come back together. Okay, cool. So that's one around. Yeah, cool. That's what we're going to work with. So it could be nervous, or it could be, I would go more with, well, if it's a fear, right? Do this as best as you can without trying to do it perfect. Okay. As men, we can always try and get it right. You cannot fuck this up. As you go through this, now I wish this was something that was taught to me earlier in my developmental years, because nothing really worked for me because I was trying to over intellect it and wonder why things wouldn't work and trying to do it right and perfect and needed it to be a certain way. So as we drop into this experience, I invite you to completely fuck it up, knowing that you can't fuck it up. You can't get this wrong. Okay. Secondly, let go of any expectation. We're here to play around, have some fun, and see what happens through this experience. Okay. This is your first time doing it. It might be, if you've done it before, it might be more than your first time, but this isn't a performance thing. This is just like being present, going into the experience as best you can, and let's see what happens for you. How's that sound for everyone tonight? Good? Cool. All right. So the first thing I want you guys to do is we're going to slow down, take a couple of breaths, right? Maybe close your eyes and drop into the body. I'm going to get you to breathe in through your nose and out of your mouth. Breathing in through your nose and out of your mouth. A few more breaths like that, with your exhale being a bit longer. What we're doing here, guys, is we're just dropping into the sympathetic nervous system, into the body, slowing down. Very good. Now I want you to feel into your body and ask your body, this intelligent being, this intelligent vessel, where do I feel any stuck energy that I would like to shift that's holding me back from having what I want in love or money? We'll focus on those two areas. And I want you to locate that in your body. And once you've located that, if we could just have a show of hands that you found that energy can be faint, it can be, yeah, beautiful. Now I want you to give that energy a shape. Okay. Could be smooth, it could be rough, could be circle, triangle, hexagon, could be anything at all. Just giving that a shape and saying that out loud as though you're talking to me. This is all about you right now. And Frankie, you jump off the speaker because I'm actually going to talk to you through it. Okay. What shape have you found this to be, Frankie?
Mine's like the Jimmy Neutron particle, bro, that fucking goes everywhere.
Okay, very good. Now I'd like you to give it a color. What color would it be if it had a color?
Gold.
Very good. Now I want you to ask this energy, is it an emotion?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. What name would you give that emotion?
Fear.
Yeah. Now I want you to ask this emotion, this fear, is it a memory or a belief?
Both.
Very good. Everyone else, just show of hands. You're following along still. You found your energy. Yeah, I'm talking to you as well. I'm just giving you the live example with Frankie. Okay. And now I want you to ask this memory, trusting the first number that comes into your mind. How old were you when you first had this experience, this emotion, this memory?
5.
Very good. Okay, give everyone else a chance to get theirs. Trust in the first one number that comes to your head. Okay. Now, Frankie, I'm going to ask you, does it feel safe to go into this memory now?
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else that feels safe to go into this memory, just follow along. Okay. So what was happening? What can you see? What can you feel? What comes to mind when you ask this? What was happening at 5 years of age for you?
Mum and dad arguing about money. Just dad going off. There's never enough money.
Very good. What did you make that mean?
We've got to be poor.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's not enough money. It's a scarcity. It's not an abundance.
Yeah. So it's not enough money. A feeling of scarcity and fear. Good. Now, I want you to ask that part of you from who you are now, as Frankie, the wise man who's now an adult, had children, grown up, knows that wasn't true. What does that part of you need? If that part of you was your child, what did that part of you need?
Reassurance that that's not true, and there's plenty to go around for everyone.
Okay. Everyone else, identify what you need to give that part for you. And now, Frankie, are you able to give that part of you that message and that reassurance? Can you do that for that part of you right now?
Yeah.
Very good. Do that and let me know when you're done.
Done.
How is that little 5-year-old doing at the moment? How did he respond?
I love the big hug I give him.
Cool.
Yeah.
How's he feeling now?
He's happy, smiling.
Yeah. Is he still worried about that belief? Does he still believe in scarcity or that there's not enough money?
Well, that feeling's gone, bro.
Cool. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that part of you needs? Ask him, just ask him. Anything else you need, bro?
Yeah, for me to do good now and show to prove it that there's abundance.
Yeah. Are you able to give him that reassurance?
Yeah.
Is there any other wisdom that you can now give to this part of you?
Slow down. It won't happen overnight. And bit by bit, block by block, we can build something great.
Instead of it won't happen overnight, how can we reframe that in the positive?
Take one step towards it every night, every day. And there'll be a result in the morning, a better result in the morning, every morning.
Anyone else that got a message there, write that down. Right, very good. Now I'm going to ask you, who needs to be forgiven for this?
My dad for me.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Yeah. I've been working on that for a long time. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do forgive him.
Yeah. Just a little bit more forgiveness there from your child, like from that memory. If you can give a little bit more forgiveness there.
Yeah. Definitely the argument I see, I understand where he's coming from now as an adult providing for kids.
Yeah. And that's the thing where we can over conceptualize these things as the adult. We can justify it where, worse things happen to other people. It wasn't that bad. They did the best they could. That's all well and good. But for that child, it was an intense experience and it shaped his future.
Yeah.
Remember that. The experience of the inner child is always valid. And we want to connect with that, not our adult mind when we're doing this process. Okay. So your dad needs to be forgiven. Who else needs to be forgiven?
Myself.
Yes, very good. And can you forgive yourself and what you made that mean?
Yeah. I can forgive myself because I can see how far I've come.
Beautiful. Just breathe into that. Take it into the body, that forgiveness, that relief, that release. Very good. And is there anything else that this part of you needs?
No, just me to show some consistency.
Cool. Show some consistency. Anything else?
No,
Is there anything you need to be consistent? Any support systems, anything that you need to implement? So that, like anything tangible to ensure that you're consistent?
at the moment, it's my mindset towards trying to build Rome in a day. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I like to have tangibles. What could assist you with your mindset and trying to build? Like what do you need? Accountability, support? Do you need some form of, is there something that you would need that you could be tangible that could help you have that?
No, I have it. I have it with this group I'm part of. I just need to listen more to what they say. Need to take my wins and turn off the computer in that part of my financial life. Take the small win to intangible, like take the small wins and accept and love them no matter how small or big they are. Take all wins as wins.
Good. Yeah. Is there anything else that you need or you feel complete?
No, I'm good.
Cool.
That was good.
Yeah. So that there, guys, is really just starting to heal those imprints from earlier in life. Yeah. To the unconscious mind, there's no difference between what we do in imagination and what we do in real life. Does that concept make sense to you guys? Yeah. So that experience of going back and connecting with, everyone notice how within the imprint years of between 1 to 7, that's usually, or 0 to 7, that's usually where a lot of our beliefs are made up. This is a practice where you can go and like literally just start to, I call it like weeding your garden, going within, finding the blocks, the triggers, the memories, the emotions, connecting with those parts of yourself and processing it and releasing it from the body. Yeah. Now, the next thing that I'll share with you too, Frankie, is this is what I worked with a financial therapist on, your nervous system around this. In order to be able to get the big wins and hold them, they need to not be a high emotional or dopamine experience.
Yeah.
Be able to hold on to the level of success, it needs to become your new norm.
Yeah. Yeah. My trading mentor says trading should be fucking boring, man. He said, if you go on and you are nervous and you're like, oh my God, he goes, turn it off, bro. It should be completely fucking boring to you.
Yeah.
No, like emotions, and that's the mindset they're trying to teach us. Take the emotions out of it. It's all calculated. Everything they're teaching us. Take if the emotions are there, hit a demo account or turn it off.
In terms of your mindset work of like really creating that identity of where you're at when you've reached the level of financial success and prosperity you want to get to a place where that like just feels natural and normal to you at any time of your like visioning and connecting with that version of yourself. Not where it's like exciting and lighting you up and all that sort of stuff, because you're still pushing it away because it's like it's outside of you. Does that make sense? It doesn't feel safe in your.
Yeah. Make it the norm. I'm going to make it the norm. Make it the normal thing.
Yeah. All right. So that was one experience. As this is a new workshop, first time you run it, like, all right, let's see how long it goes. I have one more section to go through, and I did have another practice that I was going to take you through. I'm not going to do that tonight because otherwise we'll be here all fucking night. Okay. I may take you through the concepts that I was going to share with you for the last piece if you want to learn it. First of all, did everyone get some value out of that experience of what Frankie just went through? Did you learn something there? Yeah. Pretty good process to be able to clear your vessel, clear your channel, release what's standing between where you are now and where it is you say you want to be. Okay. And now the mindset work becomes more powerful because the emotion and the trapped energy in his nervous system, that's one imprint. I dare say there's probably a few more imprints based on your parents, right? Yeah, yeah. And again, this becomes the work. This becomes the work. Okay. Weeding your garden, finding what triggers you and going into it instead of avoidance. For me, this is why I stopped drinking alcohol, because I realized alcohol was my go-to of like when I just couldn't be fucked and didn't want to deal with anything. And then I was in this cycle because then my energy would be lower and I'd get back to a point, I'd be triggered again, go to the drink, and then I didn't have the energy to actually deal with my shit. And for someone who's been dealing with their shit and processing stuff for so many years, I was out of integrity with the man that I would say I was. So I had to stop drinking so I'd process and deal with my next level of shit. Okay. I'm going to show you guys the next phase. I'm not going to go through the exercise, but you've got one tool that you've gone through now of how to actually do parts work. If anybody would like to learn that process, it's like internal family systems or parts work. There's a book that you can use to start to do a self practice that gives you some guided meditations. Who would like that book? Yeah, it's called No Bad Parts. No Bad Parts. So you guys, like, you can, this is easier done with a facilitator, someone who takes you through it, like I did with Frankie. After a while, you can get really good at doing it yourself. Frankie's also had practice with one of the processes from Self-Made, where we were doing the, I call it clear your shit or something, where we did the parts work.
Yeah, and I've done that process with your partner too.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, on a one-on-one call, and we went right deep back into talking to little Frankie and everything. It was wicked, man.
Yeah, cool. I didn't even know you'd done that. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that there, guys, like as simple as that process was, that's the emotional work that most courses, most coaches, most people are missing out on, which is why people have short-term success, but then revert and come back. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. So again, I like to give you stuff you could just do, right? So that way you're actually getting to be able to create and experience some change, transformation, and growth without needing or expecting it to be that all of a sudden Frankie buys a winning lottery ticket tomorrow. Okay. Like we keep doing the work. This is the thing. Like we're in this day and age where we want the big thing, the dopamine hit, the huge results all of a sudden. But it's actually the subtleties, especially in an overstimulated nervous system, which anything like me, guys, who here has a pretty overstimulated nervous system? Yeah, straight away feeding it with like your body and your mind with whatever's on your phone, music, YouTube, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, like fuck, we are overstimulated. But yeah, that's a really good process. So I'm going to share with you guys the last lesson. I'm not going to go into the actual activation of this. That was one of the experiences that I had. I'm going to leave it at that. Otherwise, we'll be here for fucking 30 minutes or an hour. But I will share with you the last part of this, the education piece. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen now again? Yeah, cool. All right. So you learn how to activate your power, basically take responsibility, get clear on where you are and where you want to be, and now you're empowered to do so. Then we've got to process what stands in between where you are now and where you want to be. So that's one practice that you've got there. Okay. Now what? 4 keys to unlocking the levels of leadership and legacy. So this is activating your power. We've touched on that. We touched on with the archetypes. So now I'm going to talk to you about the masculine archetypes. This is the shadow work that I've been doing and the parts of integrating my my lesser or lower selves and making using the light of my shadow to process and heal and integrate these parts of myself. Okay. So what I'm talking about here, the activating your power, we're working with the warrior. Leading with presence is our lover archetype. Living with purpose, this is where we delve into the magician. And serving and prospering as you build your legacy through embodied leadership, this is where we're dealing with the king. Remember how I started this talk? I told you about the king. I went to do the Self-Made King program, realized I was out of alignment. So I'm like, all right, what is my work in order to be living as an embodied king, not just someone who fucking talks about it? That's this work here. So we're talking about the 4 archetypes of masculine leadership and legacy pathway. Now, you have all of these archetypes and more. If you've ever heard of Carolyn Myss, she does archetype work. There's like over 50 different archetypes. The godfather of this work is Carl Jung, psychologist, teacher, and he talks about the hero's journey, but also all the different parts of our psyche, which are your archetypes. The 4 main ones for men to work with, especially in the work that I do, is your warrior, your lover, your magician, and your king. I'm going to just share with you guys the shadow and the light of these so you can see whether you're living. And again, you all have all of these. Okay? It's not like someone's special that they've got a magician and a king and someone else is special because they got a lover. You will have ones that are stronger for you based on your personality, your life experiences, what you favor and are drawn to. Okay. So for me, I've lived a lot from my warrior. I've also lived seasons where I've been very connected to my lover. I've done a lot of work with my magician, and I'm working more with my king now. But king was something that I wasn't using as much as what I needed to be. Okay, so I would still operate from all of these, often in my wounds and my shadows. Okay, now for the king to be in his light and in his full power, he needs to integrate and work with the shadows of each of the archetypes to really start to connect with his power. And it all comes back to working with, again, the heart of the masculine. Okay. So again, this is your internal map. Now, I'm just going to ask you guys real quick before I tell you anything about these guys. Where would you say that you predominantly live from? Is it your warrior, lover, magician, or king? Just put in the chat box. All right, so lover, no idea. Magician, warrior, lover. All right, cool. Let's go into it. Let's have a look how accurate you guys were. Okay, so the warrior. The light is you are disciplined, you are focused, you are responsible. Okay, this is what we started this with when I was talking about the archetypes. Courageous, loyal, resilient, and protective. The shadow is destructive, rage, controlling, burnt out, hypervigilance or always on edge, or stress like pressure, addicted to the struggle, emotionally numb. Okay, I want you to write in the chat box, do you currently feel, if you're being truthful and honest with yourself, are you more in the light or more in the shadow? No right or wrong, definitely no judgment here. Just are you more in the light or are you in the shadow right now? Shadow, shadow, shadow. Yep. Shadow. Good. On the line. We've got some honest men here. That's really good. Okay. So again, we can use our light to work with and face off with and process and integrate our shadow. Okay. This is the work of looking at where am I destructive, where am I raging. For me, I realized I was really addicted to the struggle and I was able to become emotionally numb. I have a superpower that I can be super detached and dissociated. Okay. I've done a lot of work with medicines and plants and all those sorts of things. I've died, like I've had ego deaths where I've actually died and not been in my body or in this reality. So many times that I do not fear death anymore. It's a bit different now that I'm a father because I'm a bit more attached to being here. But I was able to be very disassociated and not really be worried about what would take place. Served me in some areas, but in terms of like showing up present in my family or even in my business and like really caring and putting my heart and soul into things, it was becoming a bit of a problem, which is what I was noticing a couple of years back. All right, so the lover. In the light, we are open-hearted, we are present, creative, connected, playful, loving, and vulnerable. In our shadow, we are avoidant, overgiving, which can also be people-pleasing or fixing, always finding women who have problems or trying to rescue them, be the knight in shining armor for the damsel in distress. Okay, addicted. Okay, so we can be addicted to love, addicted to anything else that we're like. My lover, he likes to play with his addict. Jealous, lost in fantasy, emotionally unstable, codependent. Shadow or light, guys? Where are you? And again, you can be in a bit of both, but where are you predominantly? A lot of times I've worked with men who feel like they're a real lover and that, you know, they have all these relationships with these women. And they believe that they're open-hearted, they're present, they're connected, playful. The more you get to know them and understand the patterns that are playing out in their relationships, you realize that they're more addicted, they're lost in fantasy, they're people-pleasing, they're emotionally unstable, and they're codependent. Okay. I find this often with certain guys that believe they're more in the lover. And when they really start to see their shadows, this is where they do become a really great lover, by actually taking ownership of where they're in their shadow. All right, so we got very much in the light right now. Thank God for Dino. A balance, shadow, shadow. And guys, it's not a bad thing to be in the shadows with any of this because it means that there's a lot of growth, development, and you becoming a higher version of yourself by integrating these parts. So it's almost like the more you're in the shadow, the better it is, because the further you get to go when you start to do the work with these parts. Does that make sense, guys? Cool. All right, our magician. So when we're in our light, we are wise, we're visionary, we alchemize, intuitive, creative, strategic, and conscious. Okay. When we're in our shadow, we are manipulative, secretive, detached, trickster, arrogant, overthinking, and illusion. So magician will often think, and this was me a lot, because I have a lot of knowledge and wisdom from different experiences I've had, different spiritual teachings, just there's been a lot, but you can start to think that you know more than everyone else, or that you're better than someone else if you've got a strong magician when you're in your shadow. Right? This is where learning to be humble, which a good king is quite humble. Okay? Working on my king energy has really helped me to integrate a lot of my shadows here and a lot of my ego. Okay, so in terms of our magician, what do we got here? Your light or shadow, where are we at the moment? Art, what's B? He's in his light. Very good.
B's for balance.
Balance. All right. Very good.
Balance. Thanks.
I have no fucking idea, bro. So what's this going on with his B? Cool. Shadow, light, and light. Good. All right. Very good, guys. And balance are both. Very good. And then we got our king. Okay, so this is where I realized I was coming from a more disconnected judgment. I would have moments of empowering, responsible, pretty responsible. I was the concept of sovereign, but I wasn't living sovereign. Quite wise, purposeful, grounded, all these sorts of things. But this is when I really started to delve into the king. You can go deeper into this, and this is what I've gone fucking deep into. But in terms of your light versus your shadow, tyrannical, that means you're looking to rule over others and be a tyrant. Okay. Passive, entitled, disconnected, insecure, judgmental. Now, again, you may not think that you're judgmental of others, but how do you think about yourself? Okay. A lot of the time, people won't realize how judgmental they are of other people or of the world or of their experiences because they're too busy judging themselves. But as we are towards ourselves unconsciously, we're doing that with other people as well. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. All right. So, shadow, or are we in the light? We got shadow on this one too. Shadow, balance of both. Yeah. And again, like you're not always 100% in the light, right? We live in a universe of dark and light, negative and positive, and we need balance. So there's times where you can actually use the shadow. Who here has seen the Doctor Strange movie? You want to learn about the magician, right? This archetype, and the times where they and Doctor Strange is very arrogant. Okay? He can be manipulative and secretive and detached, right? But there's times where they use the dark forces. The good guys are using dark magic to win and beat the bad guys. Okay, so it's not like dark is bad or shadow is bad. It's just you probably get more of what you want in life and have a better experience for yourself and others when we learn to operate more from the light itself. Okay. Again, working out where you're at. We've done that. Which archetype would you now say has been leading your life, guys? I just want to see warrior, magician, lover, or king. Which one would you say you predominantly live from? Just put in the chat box. Which one do you predominantly live by? You also see these are relevant to the elements as well. So warrior is your fire, lover is your water, magician is air, king is earth. Okay, so this is like, if you want to go to the next level, did I have it here? You also got the directions. The directions and the elements: north, earth, water. Anyway, I won't go into that stuff. That's another whole whole concept, whole other teaching. Okay, so we've got cool. We are in Magician and King, Lover, Magician, still Lover, but I can still be better and move from shadow to light. Of course, bro, we all can. King, I'm going to take it. Arts for it. K for King, because he just does one letter answers. That's cool. All right, awesome. So the other thing is, in order to, again, if I had more time and was actually fucking taking you guys through the full ascension process and development pathway, we would then get clear on our fact maps of where we are today, our freedom maps, and then we would choose what archetype we need to be working with in order to be creating what it is that we desire. What's our like main focus right now? Does that make sense? Okay. So I was using warrior a lot of the time when I needed to actually shift into my lover and my magician a bit more. And I was using my magician. The other experience that I have for you guys was an experience with the magician to help you really start to step into and activate your king. We're not going to do that tonight because it's getting late. All right. I want to bring it over to you guys. So, and ask you a few questions. Let's just do a Q&A real quick. All right. All right, so I'm going to let you guys have a bit of a chance to tell me what was your experience? What did you gain the most value out of tonight? Just real quick. Is everyone happy to, well, first of all, what did you come in for? Like, why are you here tonight? What was going on? And then what did you gain the most value out of? What was your experience like? And just like quite quick answers. We don't want to take up too much of everyone's time tonight, like a minute. Can everyone do that? Happy to do that? Happy to share? Cool. Don, you unmuted yourself first, so you're up first, bro.
I came in because every time I finish a program, I taper off and then I go back to, or I revert back to what I'm doing. For me, it's what I picked up tonight is with those archetypes, thinking that I'm good in one, where I'm actually working in the shadow, and so there's room for improvement.
Very good. Thank you very much. What was your biggest takeaway? So what section of tonight's training did you get the most value out of? Because I'm going to need to shorten this thing down and take some shit out to deliver this properly. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing 2.5 hour workshops.
Yeah.
What did you find the most value out of for you?
That end section.
End section. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So the archetypes. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Dan Henderson, I might bring you on next if you can, bro. Why'd you come here? What'd you get the most out of? Yeah.
Yeah, I came here. I'm in a massive growth mindset at the moment, wanting to learn as much as I can about myself. I've been doing a lot of work with Steve, as you know, and yeah, I just wanted to. I haven't really worked with you, Dave, only a little bit, seen bits and pieces here and there. So I was curious, I think, more than anything, to see what you had on offer. Biggest thing for me taking away was one thing you said was look back at all of the times that might have failed or repeated the same patterns that I might be now, even going into the depths of back when I was, I suppose, as a child with my father, repeating some of his patterns when it comes to money as well. So that's something I'm exploring more of. So that was pretty cool to be able to learn that tonight, and something I'm going to explore a bit more deeply. And I kind of already done my circuit wheel of life today, actually, funny enough. So that was kind of cool, and yeah. So yeah.
Cool. So the part that you got the most value out of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard was doing the emotion work where you actually go.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Chad, you're up next, brother.
No, I was just curious, mate. This is my starting my journey from the start. So just absorbing it all and taking a lot of it in, So it's hard to pinpoint, but a lot to take in.
Yeah. What part would you say for you was most relevant?
So that's pretty much me, mate. Just more the emotions, what you've done with Frankie, just little things like that, and little mechanisms and ways I can, get into that sort of core emotions out of my body, So I took a lot of it in, but still absorbing a lot of information moving forward as well. I really want to continue this journey because I got a lot out of it and quite positive.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate that, Chad. Thank you very much. Okay. Also, Neil, see if you can get your audio to work if you want it. Yep, we've typed. Do you want me to just read yours out? Yep, cool. So Neil came to move energy and emotions and move through karmic replays. His biggest takeaway, practical way to move energy, process emotions, find out they came from and why. Cool. All right, this is good. So far for me, I'm picking up. I can cut that first bit out with the power of the warrior so that I can get the whole fucking thing done in time. But I'm getting back on this one. Dean, I'll hand it over to you, man. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, I can feel something really big that I want to do. I'm over in Europe at the moment, and there's a massive niche that I can fill with my kombucha. And the thing that's holding me back is the fact that I hate detail. I'm shit at it, but I can be better at being a king. I can delegate to admin teams to sort things out. Have basic, simple processes in my head regarding communication with people. That's what's exciting for me. And yeah, acknowledging the shadows on each of the four archetypes, and alchemizing them into big gains is what I've picked up from this. And yeah, just forgiving my dad. You know, inheriting his strengths and acknowledging them and saying thanks for being a fucking great role model, and just integrating his trauma and pain as a kid and going, you know what, fuck it, I'm not that. I forgive him and love him for putting up with so much shit when he was a kid, and then giving me the same shit. But he did the best he could. That kind of stuff. I'm really, really feeling empowered from this seminar. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Dana. All right, great. And Andrew, I'll bring you up next.
A lot of it's where you place your energy and the intention, because a lot of times, a believer of perception is reality. So what your thoughts are, a lot of times we believe, and it's not real, but we talk ourselves into believing something that we think, but it doesn't actually exist. So I don't necessarily relate to one of the archetypes because I've probably come across all four of them, but it's a lot of where you place your energy, and it's what we believe about our past experiences. So we're not necessarily our thoughts, but if we change our thoughts and our environment, we can change where we're heading and who we're going to be.
Very good. What was the main section that you landed the best for you tonight, would you say?
Not so much exactly what I said, but it's the belief in who I am and who I could be, because I have previously lived by other people's values, and I've put myself in a pit to try and please others. That's where I've probably struggled in the past, because I've lived on judgment and recognition to think that I'm worthy of the world. So it's understanding now that I don't actually need to think or listen to others. I am who I am, and I can be who I can be, but I just need to have that belief and intention that I can be the greatest version of myself. So I wouldn't have nailed it to one particular one, but yeah, that's sort of my general thinking.
All right, understood. So definitely the pressure to presence thing for you, taking back your power by being more present with yourself rather than trying to perform. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to be the best person, that anything's achievable, that you don't have to live by other people's opinions and pressures, is just be who you are, mate, because that's that's how life can be, and you can be the best version of yourself. But just be who you are and go for what you want.
100%. It's a good message for us all, that one. Thank you very much, Andrew. Very good. All right, Frankie and Art, if you're still in, I'll bring you up after Frankie. You can have a quick chat with us before you go. Frankie.
Well, I ended up here tonight because my good friend Chad actually reached out to me a couple of weeks ago when I was away on a fishing charter.
Yeah.
And when I got back, for some reason, this popped up on Facebook straight away. And I know how to read a sign. So I was like, bang, we're in. Tagged him. He was in. So done. After being through it, man, I can feel in my heart that this is the next step for me to level up from like all the other work I've done with you and with other people and that. This is the next step. Because I have been feeling for a long time now that, like you said, all the work we've done together and that still come back down to this level. And it's because of this shit that's deep down, man, that's got to come out. And so the emotion clearing for me obviously was awesome. And knowing that, like you explaining those archetypes, bro, and where they sit, the shadow and the light, having that like explained and visualized, it's like teaching us what we need to be in a certain situation in life to then move on to the next one and the next one and the next one, instead of trying to stay in the same fucking one all the time and do 10 different things. Yeah,
I feel you there, man. My warrior got pretty fucking tired after a couple of decades of flogging the shit out of him, so
yeah, mine's pretty sore, bro.
Lover and magician, man, and obviously King they all work with each other too. It's funny, like, especially if you want to do some of the work with mushrooms and stuff too, bro. You can really work with these parts of yourself where you're definitely sitting with that. Cool. Right. Thank you very much.
I also love your message, the monkey off your back message, man, which I've really like lived into lately, where I'll be coming home from work and I used to stress out, like I need to get home and fucking achieve something. I need to create something. And I'd come in the studio and try and force it and do this and do that, burn out, get nothing done. Now, bro, if I want to sit down for an hour after work and watch an episode on Netflix, I find that 15 minutes into it, I'm like, fuck this. And I end up on my computer creating shit, man.
Yeah, how good is it? I have the same experience.
Because the monkey's gone, man. It's like driving home. I've realized it's like half an hour to an hour is not going to make that much fucking difference, man. You deserve a rest. You just work 6-7 hours, have a rest. And like I said, I find within 10 minutes I'm bored and I'm doing what I actually wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So that was, I really like that message, man. It's a good message for all men, I think.
Yeah. Not just time management or things like that. It's like energy management. Like really the energy you get into it. Yeah, I love that. All right, thanks for sharing. Art, did you want to? There you are. You've got the video.
Yeah, I got the video on.
Yeah,
as you can imagine, I'm new to this and just met David just earlier, I think last week for the first time, and I thought I'd get onto this. It's been very informative. I really like the section that you talked about the traumas and how you related back to your past, because we are a collection of our past, and our parents have played a big role in that in our lives, just like we play a big role in our kids' lives. And I'm going to be open and honest here. I've got 3 children. One of them is actually is in medical care at the moment, having his medication changed because he's not in a good space. And I've decided to try to help him by helping myself for the first time. And the only reason I'm doing this is because it was a great story I heard the other day and I loved it. And it said, when you have a garden and the flower dies or doesn't grow, what do you blame? Do you blame the flower or do you blame the garden? I'll leave that with you. Because the thing is, we end up blaming our kids. And like I said, my son is absolutely gorgeous and loves life, but at the same time wants to leave the planet. And I just thought, if he sees me looking after myself and caring, and he called me today and he was very connected, I feel that I can find my generational issue that I've got from the past with these little emotional tests you have, and eventually I can show him, or what I believe in, I can stop the generational trauma from going to the next generation,
Absolutely.
because I think that's what it is.
Yeah, 100% it is. Yeah, yeah. That's what we're here for, bro. You self-selected to do so as well.
Yeah, I know, but I'm actually very resistant. I've been chatting with Corey, but we can talk later. At the moment, I'm very resistant with the DIJs. This is a very nicer forum. I like this, actually.
Yeah, good. No, it's good to have you on here because I know what I've got you into as well. It's a different environment sort of thing, but yeah, both serve purposes to get us to where we're going, you know, different ways of going about it. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Art. All right, gents. Absolute pleasure having you guys on tonight. I went through the bulk of it. I'm creating this as a presentation and activation where I'll trim it down the front of it so I can get the whole experience, because there's another process that I want to take you guys through tonight, but then we'll be here for at least another half an hour. For those of you that are interested in next steps, I will be running a container that I'm about to kick off in this month. For those of you that are interested, I'll just share this with you real quick, and I'll give you a link. You can have a chat with me either this week or next week around that. I'll put this in here. Basically, I'll give you guys a quick look at that and we'll wrap it up for the night. So, right. So this is the experience where we use a magician and breath. It's breath work, but a guided meditation to help you actually connect with your king and process the doubt and things that are there. But we'll look at that another time. I'll keep you guys posted on when I just run this as an event, just with the experience. Next step. So for those of you that were asking about next steps, if you're interested in like really learning how to work with your archetypes, that's what I'm working on with the Heart of the Masculine. So I've built out this pathway where basically you're embodying the light and integrating the shadow, the warrior, the lover, the magician, the king. So you stop living from the past and start building your legacy in alignment. Okay, so again, we're all living and repeating past frequencies, past experiences in our now. When we start to weed our garden, it's funny, Art was talking about his garden with the flower, we can start to operate from a place of connection to the now, the presence, and our heart versus our head and our past experiences, limiting beliefs and traumas. What you guys will get if you're going to be a part of this is a weekly brotherhood call. So that's accountability, sharpening leadership. Again, I am really focusing on that masculine leadership. I'm really here to empower guys to step into their leadership qualities, okay, and do whatever they're here to do, whether it's in their career, their family, business, or working together in this type of work, if that's what they're called to do. So we'll have weekly archetype embodiment missions. So each week you'll be working. Basically, we're starting with the warrior, we then go to lover, we go to king. We've got each of those for a month where you're working on certain processes and pathways and frameworks with each of those archetypes as we move forward. Okay. Inner work practices to clear your emotional blocks. You've got a bit of a taste of that tonight. Shift beliefs and align to your divine purpose. You've got the Warrior King system. I gave you a little bit of a look at that app and that software. That's essentially how we gamify the production and the habit tracking and the identity work. We're doing a lot of the identity work with the warrior type of stuff there. And then we've got live coaching and strategy support. So you're not just doing the healing, you're actually creating results. Thing that you guys will get. So by the end of the 12 weeks, clear on who you are, why you're here, and how you lead. Your nervous system will be regulated. So this is the big thing that I've been working on the last couple of years, is regulating the nervous system. This is what I was also talking to Frankie about when going for those high with the money, the wins, and like that dopamine hit. That's keeping it pushing away because it's not safe for the nervous system. So we want to be able to operate from a more embodied place, right? Connected to your heart rather than your head and all the caffeine that we put ourselves with to perform as men. Okay. No longer seeking validation. So really coming into your truth. You don't need anything outside of you to validate you anymore. You'll have walked the path of embodiment. So again, this is like not just about education and information, it's transformation and integration of the shadow into the light. So there's only one way that takes place, and it is through embodiment. So you can't just tick the boxes, do the assignment, like you're actually going to need to do the practices to create the change. Okay, so not for guys that just want to do information and another course that you ticked off, but you actually want to grow and heal and evolve as much as you can through this experience. Improve confidence, communication, relating better. So in our lover, we go into communication strategies, frameworks, agreements, and boundaries. Really, really powerful in how you lead your relationship as a king. A lot of the time we're not in that position anymore. Men have kind of lost. We used to be the head of the family, and the feminine was more so the heart. Over the many years, women have lost a lot of trust in their man, worked on their masculine, and they're trying to be head. And a lot of the time, the man's actually more the heart of the family. Has anyone experienced that by any chance? Anyone at all? Yep, fucking me too. Okay. But again, when we know how to use certain communication strategies, frameworks, certain relationship skills, we can bring integrity and trust and safety into our relationships for the feminine to trust and allow your leadership. Okay. And then working into the king to be able to have you do that as well. Developing a connection with your higher self and creator. This is something that I've really worked on, that I've held back on in a lot of my work over the years, not really talking about it. But this is where a lot of my creations and things come from, is the work that I do with higher self and God, source, the creator. That's what I connect with and get a lot of my information. And that's what I've surrendered everything I do over to now. So it's actually been really nice to not have the pressure that I used to put on myself. That's part of how I've come into really presence with myself as well. And I'll be sharing you guys the practices and processes to help you develop your connection. Getting respect and appreciation from loved ones, be walking your talk. So you won't just have information, something that you've had on podcasts or YouTubes. You're doing assignments and achieving sort of outcomes to create change and lasting transformation within yourself. Okay. Founding member bonus. So this is a new container. Some of you guys have been through my previous programs with the self-made man, warrior activations, anything that I've done in the past. This is basically me taking the warrior, the lover, the magician, and the king, the best of all these worlds. There's a full ascension pathway for those that want to get into leadership and actually do what I do or work in this space. But I'll talk to you about that when the timing's right. Basically, for the founding members, you'll be working with me directly. So right now I'm training up a couple of my coaches and mentors that will be working with the guys down the track. With this intake and the founding members, you'll actually be working one-to-one with me. I'm doing something that I haven't done since early days of my coaching career, where I'll be working with you as your one-to-one mentor. You'll have unlimited access to me, and I'll actually be doing coaching sessions with you. Okay, so some of you have worked with me where I've given you 2 or 3 coaching sessions. Others of you that have invested in excess of 5 figures to be able to work with me have had more access to me than that. Right now, it's really in my heart to support guys with this stuff and get you the best results transformation. And also, as I'm teaching this, from a selfish point of view, I learn, develop, and evolve my skill sets, my teachings, and my trainings through this, the closer that I am to the men that I'm coaching through it. Does that concept make sense? Just so you're aware of what I'm getting out of it as well. Okay. So through that, you'll actually be working with me. After this, if you come in at a later stage, you'll still be working with one of the mentors and coaches who's got a lot of the training, certifications, educations that I do, and are very skilled at what they do. So you won't be missing out if it's a later thing for you as well. You'll get access to the Warrior King software, as well as the training of how to utilize those systems. It's quite fun. You track your daily progress, so it's habit tracking. Frankie, you'll love that shit because it's like you're getting your dopamine tick of approval like you've done with the habit trackers in the past. Okay, but it's gamifying your system, and there's also community on that as well. So we're able to have basically similar to what Facebook is on the app. So if you don't want to be on the Facebook app, you won't have to. You can access a community, all the trainings and everything on that app as well, and that software. Last year, start of the year, I was trained and certified as a warrior trainer. So I'll be able to help you guys with that as well. You'll get the Heart of the Masculine digital journal, the ritual templates, everything there, so you can construct your transformation. You'll get recordings of every call and VIP priority for retreat access. So whenever I run events or retreats, even if I'm going to other retreats and events, when you're in my inner circle, I share those things with you guys as well. Okay. So 3 paths forward from here. 1, you can do nothing, go back to your old patterns, hoping for change, or keep working on whatever you're working on. I know some of you guys are actually working through different courses, mentors, all those sorts of things at the moment. Second is you can keep chasing hacks, stay in the loop of burnout, trying to think your way to peace. What I want you to take away from this is it's not a strategy or a hack that's usually the answer for creating a change. If you're on this experience with me right now, the changes that you want are all about what you need to process within you rather than what you can get on the outside of you. Does that concept make sense? And can you at least take away that from this call? Very good. And again, third option is you can join the Heart of the Masculine, walk the path back to truth, purpose, and embodied leadership. Whether that's in your family, career, or again, you'd like to learn how to do what I do and start to support other men once you've gone on your own transformational and embodiment journey, you can speak to me about that. Right, so I've dropped in the chat box. That's my pitch part of the whole thing for you guys. All right, nice and short and sweet. I've dropped into the chat box a link for a 15-minute chat. If you want to talk about that program, have a bit more look around what it's actually involved. Some of you guys I'm already speaking to about that. You can book into my calendar there and we'll chat either Thursday. I think I've got a little bit of time. I've got more time available on Friday that I've opened it up. And yeah, I'll be running this again soon with the second experience. So I'll give you guys the invitation to the next one that I run as well. Probably do it during the day though. It's a bit much today to run this after the day that I've had. But as you can see, it's there's a lot of good stuff in there for you to be able to take away and learn and implement into your life. Does anyone else have any other questions or anything you'd like to share before we wrap this one up, guys? Cool. All right. Appreciate you all playing full out. If you connected with me, if there's any questions, anything you want to share with me after this, feel free to do so. Some of you guys I'm talking to over the next coming days, so looking forward to connecting with you. And for you guys that do get on the Heart of the Masculine, I am fucking pumped about teaching you this stuff. This is like shadow work, but without the pain that I went through when I first started doing shadow work. It becomes like more gamified, right? You get to have fun with these characters and these identities. Some of the things that I've got mapped out for you guys in terms of like the embodiment and transformational outcomes and assignments are really going to be some fun for you. So I've learned a lot more of creating from a place of joy, fun, creativity, right? That's what I'm really bringing into this for you. So for those of you that work with my warrior stuff, where I'm a bit more hard on you, you might have noticed there's a bit of a shift in my energy, right? Not to say I can't bring that if you need it, Don, because I know you like it. But definitely coming from that more heart space and like helping you to get to what's really going on underneath the surface, which is a bit of a softer energy to that as well. So I balance that love and that leadership. And like I said, if you need your ass kicking, you'll get that as well. All right. Much love, gents. Appreciate you being here tonight. Again, if there's anything you need from me, anything you want to share, you probably connect with me on socials. But yeah, I'll see you all very soon and look forward to catching you in the near future. Have a great night, gents. Take care.
Yeah, bro.
Catch you later. You're welcome. See you later, guys.